welcome back to the program. Of course, Sheree Clark from Fork in the Road joining us as she does every Thursday around here, helping you be your best you, Michelle. And she's involved in a lot of projects, and every week she comes here and visits with us. But she also is hosting a big online event, and it runs the entire month of May. Is that correct, Sheree?
It does.
It does?
Every day we have a new speaker, and sometimes two.
All right, let's take a look at what she's talking about.
Ben Franklin once said, "Life's tragedy is that we get old too soon and wise too late." My name is Sheree Clark. I'm a midlife courage coach and host of It's Your Time, turning the midlife crisis into your midlife awakening. It's a series of short, fast-paced interviews where we'll look at everything from spirituality to betrayal, from coming to terms with your changing body to how to get better sleep. We'll even take a look at your relationship with alcohol and with sugar. You can be my guest simply by clicking the button that says Get VIP Access. After that, I'll send you an email with all the details. I promise you're going to love this.
There you go, Sheree. You're pretty excited about it. I can just see that grin on your face right now.
She works hard on everything she puts together, so it's always very well done and thoughtful and great content.
Thank you. And I like to brag about the people that I feature. We talked a little bit last week. Many of my guest experts are authors, and so I brought along some books from yet another batch of expert authors.
Now remind everybody again how many that you're going to be speaking with.
I'm interviewing 40, count them, 40, that's a couple dozen different experts on different topics, and what they all have in common is they all have something to do with the middle age experience. So when we get to midlife, which we would typically define as 40 and older, there are things that happen. Our bodies change and our interests in our career change, and maybe some changes happen with how we want to do things in our life. And so I've interviewed people that have lots to offer in all of those areas.
All right, and you're very excited about it now. You see, well, there's 40, you're having one a day, but you're doubling up.
I'm doubling up on weekends. Yep.
On the weekends.
You did the math.
Okay, so you have to. So.
And so let me start with telling you about the first one because she's an Iowa girl.
Yay.
Yay. So right here I've got a book by Debra Engle, who has been on the show.
Yes, fabulous woman.
Yep, she's amazing. And this is her latest book, Be the Light That You Are. And I interviewed her. This is the second time she's been on the series, so you know she's darn good. And I just really love her. This woman, the introduction for her first book was written by the Dalai Lama. So she's connected.
That's some pretty high up rankings there. Yeah, get somebody like him. Hey, Dalai Lama, can you please do me a favor?
Can you please? Yeah. And what I like about this book and her is that her books are easy, fast reads, but then you read them again and you're like, I didn't read this book. This is a brand new book. There's something in here I didn't even know was there the first time. So she's great. She's also enlightening. She's just like everybody else. It's not just about their books that we're talking about life in general. So she's an inspiration. You're going to want to see her.
All right, and that's where you're kicking things off.
Yes, yep, she's going to be great. Down by you, Michelle, I've talked about Dr. Sandra Cabot, and she is an expert on down one more. She's an expert on all things, believe it or not, liver.
Okay.
Liver. So you might think, well, there's a pretty narrow niche, but the liver is really impacting every part of your health and well-being.
Now, the liver, for those people that aren't familiar with it, that's the big filtration device in your body.
That's the huge. It does all of the things. So what it does is if you take in any kind of toxin, and typically we think of alcohol, that would be the one we talk about. The
primary one that destroys the liver.
Exactly. But she talks about that all kinds of things impact our livers. Some that we have control over, like how we eat and what we choose to ingest. But let's also think about environmental toxins, and that can result in a thing called fatty liver, which compromises your health. And it doesn't mean fatty liver can be connected to alcohol and alcoholism, but it doesn't have to be. So she talks about how you might have it, what you might need to know, and all of those sorts of things.
Did she talk about any of the things you might be able to take supplement-wise to help you, enhance the quality of your liver?
Correct, and also just little things like changing how you eat, and also what toxins you're exposed to. Fascinating work, and she's in Australia. So when
really?
Yeah. So when I interview her, you'll just even like listening to her voice.
That's awesome. That's something that most people you wouldn't really be dealing with until later in life, right?
Oftentimes that's the case, but don't think that you're immune because you're younger. And even on the back of her book, she lists some of the things that are symptoms. You can be undiagnosed with fatty liver. Little symptoms like fatigue, bloating, age spots. Those are some signals that you might have some liver that needs a liver that needs some attention.
Okay, so good to know.
Yeah.
All right, now who else do we have up
So
there?
then next to her is Amy Medling, and she writes about PCOS. And I've talked about PCOS. I have two experts. That's polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a woman's issue, typically dealing with reproductive organs, but it also can be indicative of other things as well. So what I like about Amy's work is that she talks about, again, like Sandra, symptoms, things to look for. And her book and her thing is a 21-day program to address the symptoms, to find out if that is what your issue is there a way to get some traction on this right away and experience relief. So she talks about the physical ins and outs, but also gives us some good recipes, and you know I'm a recipe fan, so anytime there's recipes included, I'm in.
There you go.
And her recipes are great. So it's not just like therapeutic, they're good tasting.
All right, perfect.
And are these things you can self-diagnose, kind of, that you have
Yes.
without having to go get doctors?
You can, but oftentimes what they also do, what all of my experts do, will tell you, if you want to be reaffirmed, here's the tests that you need to take. Okay. Here's what you need to ask for specifically. This is covered by insurance. This might not be. Here's why you would want to do it anyway.
The important questions,
Wow.
yeah.
All of it's good guidance.
Yeah.
Speaking of guidance, we have guidance in the center there, Lifestyle First Aid, Dr. Panagos. He's a fabulous physician. You know, sometimes you know this, your interviewers, you fall in love sometimes with your experts just because they're such good people. Dr. Andre, before we went on live on our interview, was asking me all about me. So I thought, you know, this is not a typical doctor who's, let's get in, get out, what's your problem, here's your script. He really wanted to know, and that's his thing. He wants to know all about your life. He'll ask what your symptoms are, what's going on, but then he'll ask, well, what's important to you? And why is this important? And really questions where you might say, I wonder what that has to do with anything.
Those matter way more than people give them credit.
Right.
Huge. So his book and his thing is little simple adjustments that you can make that have a big payoff and a huge dividend.
Lifestyle
so
is a lot of
big news.
A lot of our problems. Lifestyle.
So speaking of lifestyle, one of the things that's become a really hot topic in the news, especially with young people, with people of all ages, is mental hygiene, mental health. So many adults are on prescription medications to manage depression and those kinds of things. And so my expert, Dr. Christina Bjorndal, is a naturopathic doctor. She wrote a book called Beyond the Label. And what I like about her, in addition to being a physician, a naturopath, she has experienced mental health problems herself.
Okay.
Very transparent about it. She talks about what she did to overcome those. It happened to her not once but twice. Wow. And so she said, you know, I thought that I had it licked, I had it figured out, and then boom, I got hit with it again. And she gives really practical advice, and I like that. Again, lifestyle issues, things about happiness, because mental health and hygiene doesn't have to mean necessarily that it's you've gone over the deep end. There's a continuum, and catching yourself along the way before it becomes a bigger issue.
And the thing that's nice is that people are talking about this now.
Yes.
You know, just recently, even the Mind Matters, exhibit that's over at the Science Center right now, only for a short period of time. So if you haven't been over there, please get over there. One of the most interactive things we've seen in a long, long time, giving you the ability to have the conversation.
Exactly. So if it's not you that's affected, the odds are pretty good that someone that you know has been affected. Maybe they're suffering silently.
And there is help.
Exactly.
That's the key. There is help.
Yep.
Okay.
And she's living proof. And then my final one in front of you, Lou, is Dr. Bruce Fife, and he talks about coconut oil. Now you might think, how in the heck can you do a whole darn interview about coconut oil?
If anybody could, you could.
Yeah. This is something I haven't really Yeah, I've dabbled in a lot of things, but I haven't done this. So it'll be interesting to.
You're going to go off the you're going to go cuckoo for coconuts.
I
Oil
am,
pulling
but not
therapy.
In this capacity.
That sounds painful.
No,
Okay.
no. It's oil pulling therapy is in your mouth. You put coconut oil in your mouth and you swish it for up to 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Which is,
It sounds terrible.
Hard.
You'd be drooling all over the place.
No,
Sheree.
you go do other things. I do it before I get in the shower. So then I'm swishing away, washing my hair, and it's oily.
Kinda heavy?
Yeah.
It's not as heavy to me as sesame oil, which is the other one that
Swishing
people.
sesame oil too,
Yeah,
or what?
I've done that too. But then you kind of smell like a Lebanese restaurant when you're done, and so I'd rather smell like a pina colada.
Okay. So if you want to smell like a pina colada and do something good for your oral health.
And that's why I smell like a pina colada
Okay.
this morning, Lou. It's no
Okay.
other reason.
Okay.
Well, you always line up the best of the best and experts and information, and so and I know you always make them available. It's really a limited amount of time. So
Yeah.
if people want to hear all 40 of these interviews, how do they go about doing that?
The sign up for that is at midlife-newlife.com, and you can sign up right up until the day that the person you want to hear is. But I would say tune in early because there's going to be a special guest. We also are including an interview that someone did of me, and so I'm going to
Nice.
be so you'll want to be part of that just to hear that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We're excited about it, and so are you.
Yes, I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. There
bet.
you go, folks. Sheree Clark with Fork in the Road. It's not